In this video, we will be doing a first read of Document C to try to understand what it's all about. The title is Document C, Statement from Henry Adams. Just like with the other documents, we're going to take a first look at some of the text features of this document. The first thing I notice is that the source is given again at the top. This reads, Source, former enslaved person Henry Adams made his statement before the United States Senate in 1880 about the early days of his freedom after the Civil War. There's also a bit of text here to give context for the document again. I see again that there's a footnote here, and there are 4 sections but no subheadings like in Document B. I see a lot of I's and a lot of quotation marks throughout this document with I told him and she said, so it looks like there's some dialogue in here. Now let's take a minute to source this document so we know what we're reading. Follow along as I read the description at the top, and then we'll fill out the sourcing table. Up until the 1970s, the term Negro was used to identify Black people, but it is not used today. Colored people is also an old term used to refer to what is now used, people of color. People of color refers to Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and Asian people. The first question in sourcing asks, what type of document is this? The source tells us at the top, just like in the other documents, what it is. This is a statement made by Henry Adams. Question 2 asks who created it. Looking at the source, it tells us the name, but we should add additional information about him to give us more context to think about when we have to read the document. What else do we know about him besides his name? I'm going to add that he was formerly enslaved. A perspective of a formerly enslaved person is going to be very different from, say, a white northerner. Where this document came from is also clearly at the top of the document. It tells you where Henry Adams made this statement. He made this statement in front of the U.S. Senate. This does not mean that he was a senator, but he shared his experience in front of senators. The next question, it also explicitly tells us the year, so that one's easy, 1880. And the last question is the tricky one again. It asks which audience this was written or created for. For this one, think again about where he is and who he is making his statement to. Who is the audience for Henry Adams's statement? Try rereading the source again and see if you can figure out who the audience is. You should have picked the U.S. Senate, or you could have said U.S. Senators. Remember, the purpose of sourcing is for you to start to think about the context and perspective of the people who created the documents as you read to help you better understand history. Follow along as I read the document and keep in mind both the information we learn from sourcing and the big question, were Black people really free during Reconstruction? Does this document support the claim that Black people were free, or does it support the claim that Black people were not free during Reconstruction? Starting from the top, Document C, Statement from Henry Adams. Source, former enslaved person Henry Adams made this statement before the U.S. Senate in 1880 about the early days of his freedom after the Civil War. Up until the 1970s, the term Negro was used to identify Black people, but is not used today. Colored people is also an old term used to refer to what is now used, people of color. People of color refers to Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and Asian people. In September 1865, I see a footnote, so I'm going to look down at the bottom. Slavery was legally abolished January 31st, 1865. In September 1865, I asked the boss to let me go to the city of Shreveport. He said, all right, when will you come back? I told him, next week. He said, you had better carry a pass. I said, I will see whether I am free by going without a pass. I met 4 white men about 6 miles south of town. One of them asked me who I belonged to. I told him no one. So him and 2 others struck me with a stick and told me they were going to kill me and every other Negro who told them they did not belong to anyone. They left me, and I then went on to Shreveport. I saw over 12 colored men and women beat, shot, and hung between there and Shreveport. Sunday I went back home. The boss was not at home. I asked the madam, the boss's wife, "Where's the boss?" She said, "You should say master. You all are not free, and you shall call every white lady Mrs. and every white man master." During the same week, the madam took a stick and beat one of the young colored girls who was about 15 years of age. The boss came the next day and whipped the same girl nearly to death. After the whipping, a large number of young colored people decided to leave that place for Shreveport. On our way, out came about 40 armed white men and shot at us and took my horse. They said they were going to kill every colored person they found leaving their masters.